3 things that my accountant has taught me about business. Awesome. So was so refreshing seeing my accountant. I kind of saw him a month before, tax returns due, but I actually did an extension. So it saved me a lot because there's a lot of little details. My accountant taught me this. He said, and this might be the 3 things or whatever, I'm just going to kind of go off tangent, but I want to hit these big picture things that he made me think. And one of them, he said, RC, and this is why I did the extension, right? And I think it's so good to hire people that are just so good at what they're at. And he actually told me this. He said, RC, there's nobody on this planet that knows everything about accounting. I think he said over 70,000 plus pages in like the books. And he said even one of the greatest, and he made me guess all these people, and he said even the greatest, one of the smartest men in history didn't know and said a lot of things about accounting. He said, go Google this. I forgot what the quote was, but the person that he's referring to is Albert Einstein. He said if he couldn't even figure this out, what makes us, someone with such a high Q, but doesn't mean that we're always progressing and getting better. So he kind of told me not every accountant, is that great. This guy's seasoned. He's been in it for decades. The guy's like, I don't know how old he is. I think in his 60s or 70s, maybe older. But yeah, he's still up. He's healthy. He's going. He's like, yeah, I'm blessed to just be up still. And he's a workaholic. He's working all day doing his own business. I don't even think he needs to do it for the money. I think he just enjoys staying busy with his life. And he told me this thing. He said, RC, you got to make sure that when you're doing your accounting, and this is why we did the extension, he says, it's best to, just like a carpenter, he said, this is a carpenter. And what's so funny is I referred it back because, I study the Bible, and Jesus is a carpenter. So I just took the the connection, and he says, carpenters, they say, cut or measure twice, cut once. Okay, let me say that again. Measure twice, cut once. Meaning you want to make sure that you're like double checking your books, you're double checking your measurements before you do the final cut, because there's no turning back. Same thing with accounting. He says measure twice, cut once. So he's like, we're going to go back into the books, we're going to make sure everything's solidified, you have everything that you need. And I do it between QuickBooks and a Google Sheet, and then I start going. So I'm going to take some time these next few weeks, next few months. No one wants to do it. I might even I don't want to hire a bookkeeper. I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's so good to have your own, like to be able to make sure that I'm looking at my books. I think everybody should always look at their books, no matter what. Even if you hire a bookkeeper or a CPA, it's always good, right? So measure twice, cut once. That was one of the biggest takeaways I took from him. And I could take that concept in so many different ways and really use it, which I like. So that's the number 1 thing. Number 2, he says, okay, RC, and then as far as like why most business, he says, RC, why do most businesses fail? And he looked at my stuff. He said, it's been so great. Like, I've seen what you're done, because I just started doing my marketing agency like full time, and I moved to Vegas, so I had to switch. Going from, I used to have one of my aunties do it out in California. She's been doing my taxes since I turned 18, and I got my first job at KFC. And then I went to Walmart, and I've had the same accountant for over almost 10 years, right? And then when I moved to Vegas, I wanted someone that was near. I didn't want to travel to California, so I found this. This was just through a referral. And I ended up just finding him, and he told me a few things, and he said, you know what, like, you going full on with this, like, I'm very impressed with what you made, because not a lot of people go into profit their first, second, or even third year in business. It's not until their second, third, or after that is when they start, they'll either have a loss or they'll break even. And it's not after that until they push that threshold to become profitable. And he says, based on what I see, you're a very bright young man, you're doing marketing, I could see that you're getting up there, and this is the place to go. And obviously he's been around for some time. He's helped tons of different businesses. I see him as a wise guy based on what I've learned from him, and I learned a lot of great stuff, and he just knew his stuff, and that's why I liked it. And obviously, how did he get my business? It was a referral. Word of mouth. So if you guys are running any type of service, type of business, you want to make sure you offer the best of your service, because you're going to get clients later down the line where people are going to refer because they trust you and because you got them the results. Okay. So he said, hey, it takes about, this is Google why most businesses fail. And I didn't Google it, or I Googled it, and there's a lot of different factors to it. But he was just telling me like, yeah, you know, you'll figure out, but it's the longevity. It's like, honestly, I thought of it as like a mindset thing where like most businesses fails because we have a instant gratification type of deal where we want things like yesterday, right? We want all these different results right now. We want them right now. We see somebody that has been crushing it and it looks like they just came out of nowhere, but little do we know, we don't know what they did when no one was looking. Right? It's what they did in private that allows them to look like a lot of things are being rewarded in public instantaneously, when in reality there was a lot of dark years, right? When I say dark years, I mean in the dark of like trial and error, going through all these struggles and problems and overcoming that. So number 2 is, he said, RC, Google why businesses fail. So I hope you guys Google why businesses fail. Tell me what you guys find, and you guys can comment that below. One of the third thing he told me, the last thing that I want to talk about, is he said, RC, you're on the right path, right? Like I've seen that you told me you've been working jobs and now you're just going like 100% with running a business. And he says there's 3 types of industries. Yeah, he said there's 3 industries that have accumulated wealth from time to time again. And you know, there's nothing else I know of, but right now there's these 3 things. He says number 1, real estate. Number 2 is someone starting their own business. And then number 3, he says the stock market. He says these are the 3 things that have been proven time and time again where you can actually accumulate wealth. 1 is real estate, 2 is starting your own business, and then 3 is the stock market. And obviously, right, I mean, it's super interesting, and I mean, I'm sure everyone would agree. Now it's just like, okay, where do I fit in? So that's what everyone's doing. Everyone's teaching, learning how to run their own type of business so that they can build generational wealth. And he says generational wealth. He said, I've seen this time and time again. In order to create generational wealth, you need to invest in or be in these 3 types of industries, or these 3 things: real estate, your own business, or the stock market. And I agreed. So I wish I actually took way more notes. I did take notes. There was like a lot of different questions I asked him. If you guys are in the online business, I hope you guys know when you have like a merchant that charges you fees, processes, you can actually get those written off. And also I asked him if credit cards, annual credit cards can get written off. And he said, yeah. So I was happy about that as well. You know, things that I just didn't know because I wasn't into. I'm more on like the marketing side. You know me, I'm a pretty simple guy. I'd rather just hire somebody to do it. Never really asked my auntie that did my accounting before, or I don't know if she's like my auntie or if she's just like a family friend. But she's the one that was doing my accounting, and I never really asked her this stuff. She was older too, but this one I felt like it was a real like genuine relationship, head to head. Cool. So I really like I said, I really respect the guy. I respect his grind and what he's doing, and especially what he had at that stage of his life, like what he's experienced and what he's seen. And he said, you're a really bright kid. I see your future. I see where you're about to go, and I can see that you're gonna really scale this and take it to another level. So I'd love to work with you. And like I said, he's not really doing it for the money, and I can tell like when people are genuinely like, oh, here, boom, boom, boom. He helped clients where they've had other people from other firms work with them, and he helped them save way more money when they were making a certain amount. So I think a lot of it has to do with how much you're willing to like put down to beat on your craft, to learn the ins and outs. And like he said, there's no one on this planet that knows everything about accounting. It's a consistent evolving thing. Same thing with like marketing and just business, how it's just always adapting. So I was grateful. A lot of people say, hey, RC, be mindful about the people that you hire for accounting, especially like the older people, because they might not know a lot about the online internet business, because there's a lot of different regulations that are always adapting every year, and that is true. So who knows if I find somebody better, but I'm a pretty down to earth kind of guy where, hey, if you do me right and we do business together, like, the trust is there, right? Like the trust was there, and I appreciate him. He gets to my calls. I call him right away. I know he has tons of clients, and I called him these last couple of days because we did an extension. And one of the things that was interesting when we did the extension, that was he said they just recently started doing this, is they started asking if you are exchanging virtual currency or Bitcoins, right? I thought that was interesting. So they're getting into that and kind of seeing where the regulations are going to go in this next decade for like Bitcoin and with accounting. Yeah, it's an interesting, and it's very interesting to me because I got accepted to San Diego State for accounting, and I just needed to finish my 2 years, and I would have got my bachelor's. That's a whole nother story. I had this whole flashback. I was like, man, what if I pursued it? I worked for like an accounting firm, and now like instead of me being a marketing person. Now I'm just doing people's books. Like, you know, like I'm starting my own business and doing people's books. I just thought about it, like, what if I took that path, or what if I did both? I don't know, it kind of blows me away just thinking about all this stuff. But hey, everything happens for a reason. I know it's like, you know, God ordained, and I just see it as one of those things where I'm meant to be here, right? I'm meant to be here. Obviously, we do make the choices, but as long as you got peace in your spirit, you feel good, you can look back and say, you know what, I don't regret anything, totally fine. And if you do regret something, then it's fine. Like, whatever that regret is, it's either a lesson or a blessing. I say it's a lesson or a blessing, right? But yeah, on top of that tangent, I just wanted to share those 3 things with you guys. The 3 things that he shared with me, and I hope you guys got some wisdom from this. And yeah, I just want to kind of make these short as well. If you guys like this stuff, like below, subscribe, ask me any questions. If you have any accounting questions, I could probably ask my accountant too. I might know it too, but I am not a certified accountant at all. I do not claim that, but he is, and that's why I just go to advice to people that just know more than me and their expertise. Have a good one, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.